Biggest thing I thought last week, I'm not a real big moral victory guy, you know, and I don't think our kids are either. I think they were very disappointed in the outcome of the game, as was I. But with that being said, I was extremely pleased and extremely proud with the effort through 4 quarters of football. I know that's the first time since I've been here. I know since 2010 that we played one of those types of games versus an FBS opponent where we really thought, you know, in the 4th quarter we had a chance. If some things went the right way, the ball bounced the right way, if we could just get back into it somehow, if something were to break, that we thought we would have a chance. And I think that our kids thought that as well. You know, I know the offensive guys at the end of the game, when I started milking, we got to a point where I kind of started milking the clock, and I was ready to get out of there. You know, all the offensive guys, they were mad at me. They were ready to still try to take some shots and create a miracle there with 40 seconds left to go in the game. And I thought that you know, I thought that it was time to get out of there at that point. So, but overall, really pleased with the effort in all 3 phases of all of our kids last week.
Coach, a lot of times there's mismatches up front in these kind of games, and they want to just shove it down our throat time after time. I didn't see that out there. That was really encouraging.
No, I tell you, the biggest thing that I thought, you know, we talk about winning the contact battle, offensively, defensively, and in special teams, and I really thought for the most part that we did that. I thought that we won the contact battle. I thought that most all of the big hits, other than a crackback on the one long punt return that they had, you know, I thought that we won the contact battle. You know, I thought that all of the big hits came from the blue shirts, not the white shirts. And you know, obviously, when you face a team like that, that's what you worry about. Because I'm going to tell you now, I mean, when they took the field, I mean, they looked like a bunch of giraffes out there. I mean, they were tall and long. And they were big, you know, but I really thought that that was probably the thing that I was most pleased about, was defensively, offensively, and especially special teams. I thought that we kind of took the fight to them, and it was evident. I tell you, it was kind of funny when I watched the tape. It was a tale of 2 halves. I think the first half they were going to try to be a little bit more vanilla in all phases, and then I think when they went into halftime, I think that they kind of circled the wagons a little bit and said, hold on a minute. They really opened it up offensively, did a lot of things that we knew that they could do, but we really weren't thinking that they were going to do. And then defensively, they started running a couple of weird fronts that we had seen them do last year, a couple of blitzes that we had seen them do last year, but they didn't do versus UNLV. So that was very encouraging to see that happen, because you know when that happens that you've at least kind of sparked their interest in the game. And all of a sudden they had to go back in and say, hold on a minute now, if we're not careful, this is going to get out of hand. But I tell you, they are a tremendous football team. They really were. They were offensively, they do so much stuff and they do it so well. And that was the thing that I was the most impressed about, was just how much stuff, the volume that they do, and they're good at all of it. And then defensively, they have really good players. You know, they can control the line of scrimmage very well, and then they tackle the football very well.
Coach, we knew that you guys had multiple weapons when the season started. Janowski showed out, Jeremy Harnett showed out.
Yeah.
This is the 2nd straight week that Paul Rice has showed out. 3 receivers.
Yeah.
You guys are going for?
It was kind of funny, you know. It was hard to get into the locker room from the field. It was a little bitty door, and it took you a while to get into the locker room. And before the game, I was standing out there waiting for the team to get in the locker room, and I had a chance to hear, you know, their pregame pressers and all of that kind of stuff. They were interviewing the head coach and things like that. And I heard him say, you know, they've got about 6 wide receivers that could play in the MAC. And I think he's dead on. I think that we do. I think that skill-wise, offensively, I was really pleased with the way that we played, because I thought we out-big played them. You know, we had more big plays than they did. I was really worried about, you know, Neil, you and I talked about number 29. I was really worried about him, and a couple of their corners, just how lengthy they were and how well they ran. And you know, obviously with a couple of those big plays, we were going up and getting the football and fighting for the football. You know, we were without Jesse Blackburn, and I thought Drew Rutland, as a true freshman, man, he did a tremendous job. I mean, you're talking about a true, I mean, 18 years old, and he goes out there unscathed. I mean, just no big eyes about him, just kind of did his job. And so really, really pleased, especially really pleased with all of the skill guys. I really am. But especially those offensive skill guys, I thought that they did a tremendous job making some plays and making some big plays. And then defensively on the back end, you know, when you look out there on that field, I mean, it's not easy. I mean, it's not hard to see that, you know, we were outmanned. I mean, they were all 6 foot plus. I mean, they were huge, long guys. And, you know, I look out there at one time, and we've got little Black out there, Marquez Sanford, you know, a true freshman. He's probably 158 pounds. And I thought that all of those guys played really well, too. You know, I mean, given the circumstance, considering they're out there guarding people who are twice their size. But I think that was what I was most proud about. You know, none of our kids, you know, like I said, I think all of our kids, they wanted to win, and they're very disappointed right now. I mean, going into this week, you know, the overall atmosphere that I've gotten from our team was they were very mad about being beat by NIU, and I think that's kind of the culture that we wanted to create around here, and so I'm happy about that moving forward, and hopefully it fuels us a little bit heading into Western Michigan.
What have you seen at Western Michigan? I mean, Franklin, we know what he is.
They're huge. You know, they're another team like that. They're, I guess you call them Midwest teams, you know, and they're just they're huge, man. They're a lot bigger. I will say this, they're a lot bigger, especially on the back end defensively, than NIU was. You know, Northern Illinois played with some 5'9", 5'10" corners that were real rocked up. Western Michigan, a lot of their guys are 6 foot, 6'1". They got a lot of length. They're very big up front. Their linebackers are very long. They run, you know, they run really well. And, you know, and then offensively it's, you know, same thing. They're going to try to use those big offensive linemen, and they're going to try to get downhill and pound us a little bit. And if they can do that, it'll be a long night for us. If we can figure out a way to control the line of scrimmage as best possible, then we've got a shot. And then the other thing is the special teams. I mean, these cats are wide open now. I mean, wait till you see their punt team. I mean, out of 15 games, they ran 13 different formations in punt, you know, and things like that. So, you know, they're a headache. I mean, they really are. You know, it's from a schematic standpoint, it's a headache with some of the stuff that they do.
Quarterback-wise, what do you see that they'll bring in?
I don't know, to be honest with you, just with this being this early in the week. I haven't had a chance just because, you know, obviously I'm still calling the plays offensively, so I haven't had a chance to sit down. Usually I do that on Tuesday or Wednesday with Boone and kind of ask him personnel-wise what he sees offensively. It's been more, yesterday and today has been more putting the previous game behind us and figuring out where we need to go, how we need to change our personnels. And then obviously putting a game plan forward for offense for me right now. And then, you know, either tonight or tomorrow, me and Chris Boone will have a chance to sit down and kind of talk about some things. But I remember from last year, I don't know if it's the same guy that played last year, but, you know, they do a lot of good things. And they're the same. It's going to be the same as NIU. It's going to be, they're going to try to control the line of scrimmage. They're going to try to run the ball, and then they're going to try to take a shot over the top. And, you know, like I said, if we can control that line of scrimmage and control that run game and make them one-dimensional, you know, make it to where they're going to have to throw the ball, I think we've got a chance. And then defensively, I do know it's going to be a matter of beating man coverage. There are a lot of man. There are a lot of one-high man coverage. You know, a lot of pressures, bringing pressures, trying to get to the quarterback. I'm hoping after last week, you know, some of those big plays, maybe it'll at least make them think twice about it. You know, it's kind of funny when you're in there with the wide receivers. You're telling them, hey, be ready for man coverage, and as a coach, you're a little worried. You know, you're trying to figure out formationally what you're going to do to help them out and all that. And as players, you're sitting there looking at the wide receivers, and they're smiling, going, "Oh yeah, here we go, man coverage." You know, they think they're going to have a big night again. So we'll see how it goes.
It's two of the youngest coaches in the country going against each other.
Yeah.
Is that something that you think about? And what's that like, knowing that you're the youngest and he's like the third youngest?
I hadn't really thought of it that much. At least I know going into the game I got him beat at something. I'm the youngest and he's not the youngest, so at least I got him beat at something no matter the outcome of the game. I've won right there. But no, it's nothing that I thought of. You know, I think on both sides of the ball, you know, I think one thing about being young is you're probably going to see a lot of creativity, you know, on both sidelines. You know, I've already seen that some of his special teams, some of the things some of the things that they do on special teams and offensively and defensively. You know, they're very creative. Probably because him and I are both too young and dumb to do it the old conventional way. You know, we just why not try this? You know, or why not try this way or that way or whatever. And so, you know, I'm hoping, you know, I'm just hoping that we do our job. You know, I'm not real wrapped up into that. I'm sure beforehand we'll probably give each other a high five or dap instead of shake hands, just because that's what us young guys do. But other than that, it won't be any different.
Injury-wise, I know Samuel's kind of went out a little bit, but what's the status on him?
Yeah,
Jesse?
He's good. A little hamstring, but it was real low. You know, kind of in the top of the knee. So I think he's going to do some jog throughs today. I think he'll be fine. I'll be honest with you, any other game we probably would have put him back in or could have put him back in an emergency situation. And even the other night, if that fourth quarter, if some things would have changed around and we could have put him in there, we just decided not to. You know, Blackburn is just he's still kind of day by day. We're seeing how tender it is with that ankle. And he's kind of the same situation. If we really need him, I think we could use him. But we're in a situation right now, especially with the way that Drew played last week. Why not just shelf him for another week and get him ready? You know, obviously there's two things. You know, that's what makes it so tough. Is we're going out this week, and I've said this before. You know, if I didn't think that we had a chance to win, I wouldn't get on the plane, and neither would any of my kids. But at the same time, you know, obviously the grand scheme and the big picture is be ready to get all of your horses to the race come Tennessee Tech week. So that's kind of what we're trying to do with some of those guys who could come back, but we just don't want to push it right now.
Any thoughts on how the rest of the league's shaping up after the first 2 weeks?
No, you know, I'll be honest with you, I hadn't really even paid attention to it. I'm not that fun when it comes to that, just because I don't look at the other people. Obviously, the only one that I saw, just because it was such a big deal, was Jacksonville State and Auburn. And I've got a little bit of insider information with that one just because I'm from Auburn. So I had a lot of people calling, you know, a lot of my relatives saying, hey, did you see we almost lost and all of that kind of stuff. But other than that game, I don't even know how the rest of the league's doing, to be honest with you. You know, and probably won't worry about it until I get to conference play and we get to Tennessee Tech, and then I'll see how they've been doing the previous weeks. But I'm a day-by-day and a week-by-week guy. I try not to look into the future too much. You know, just because we got enough on our plates getting ready for this week, you know, with Western Michigan. And so once I get to Tennessee Tech, I'll kind of look and see how the conference is doing and has been doing.